Today we'll be doing Chapter 5. This is our first page for the physical geography of the United States and Canada. So vast lands, both Canada and the United States are very large. Canada ranks second in size out of countries in the world, and the United States is third. I remember back when I first started teaching that the videos and the books all said that the United States was fourth and China was third. And then, I don't know, 5 or 10 years ago, something happened, and all of a sudden the books are saying that the United States is third. Again, I really don't know what happened. Technology, better ways of measuring, but they're close, but the United States is third. About 3.7 million square miles of territory. And between these two countries, there are a lot of shared landforms. So we have the eastern lowlands. This is the area right next to the Atlantic Ocean. As you move inland, there's a low coastal area that extends into Canada. The second one is the Appalachian Highlands. Appalachian, depends on where you're from, I guess. Again, the Appalachian Mountains do extend up into Canada. They're not really tall. I asked the kids between the Rockies and the Appalachians which one is older, and they usually say the Rockies because they're bigger, but it's actually the Appalachians because they are smaller and they have been worn down over time. Number 3 is an interior lowland. We commonly refer to it as our Great Plains. Again, that area also extending into Canada. 4 is our Western Mountains, the Rocky Mountains. If we look beyond our borders, down into Mexico, there's the Sierra Madre Oriental, the Sierra Madre Occidental. Moving up into the United States, lots of different ranges of mountains, and then finally up into Canada and extending out into Alaska. And then we have also some plateaus and basins. There's the Colorado Plateau, there's the Great Basin that are part of this area. And finally the islands, we've got the Hawaiian Islands. Alaska has the Aleutian Islands, and there's also the islands of Canada. Okay, Appalachian Mountains, again, one of the 2 major chains that's found in the United States and Canada, and they are the ones that are located in the east. So, again, not real steep and rugged, but nonetheless, a lot of mountain chains, hills. Our Great Plains, a largely treeless area that rises to the west. As if you were to travel from the Great Plains into, say, Denver, you would gradually rising in elevation, but you may not really notice it over that great distance. And when you finally get to Denver, it's about 5,000 feet. They call it the Mile High City, and then you're right into the Rockies. Canadian Shield, a rocky, mainly flat area that surrounds Hudson Bay. You can see with the red area on the map. That is the area that is called the Canadian Shield. Just a little teeny bit extends into the United States. The majority is in Canada. A lot of just hard, rocky areas that stretch for miles and miles. There are some areas where there's some vegetation growing, but you can see the rocks showing through there. So a major physical feature. The Rocky Mountains, a series of ranges that extend about 3,000 miles, as I said, Mexico up into Canada and Alaska. With this series of ranges, there's the Wasatch Range. California has the Cascades and the Sierra Nevadas. There's a Brooks Range in Alaska, just to name a few. Okay, Continental Divide, the line of highest points in the Rockies that marks the separation of eastward and westward flowing rivers. Technically, I guess we could say that the Appalachians also have a continental divide where there's a high point and anything flowing east or west of that line would move away from the mountain range. So as we look at this one, obviously everything on the west would flow to the western side of the country, some of it making its way, and most of it into the Pacific Ocean, Gulf of California. And then of course everything on the eastern side would flow eastward as it moves down in elevation towards the Mississippi River. Lots of tributaries there, and then again as we move farther east, as you come west of the Appalachians, then that is also going to flow into the Mississippi. So just a quick kind of, demonstration. So if you're looking at this map, okay, those mountain ranges would look like this to you because you're looking straight down. But if we were to lay the map down and have a cross section, then those mountain ranges would look like this. And then of course everything on the west side would flow to the west, everything on the east would flow to the east. So a few places where if you're traveling you might come across a sign that would say Continental Divide. Okay? Okay, 8 of the world's 15 largest lakes are found in this region. That's a pretty amazing statistic. So for Canada, you've got the Great Bear Lake, Great Slave Lake, and Lake Winnipeg here in the bottom, in the southern part. And then, of course, the Great Lakes. Only one of those is completely within the United States. That's Lake Michigan. The other 4 are shared between the two countries. Lake Superior is the largest. That's why it's called Superior. It has an water area of 31,700 square miles. By comparison, I always compare it with Utah since that's where we're from here. 86,000 square miles for the state of Utah. So a little over a third the size of our state. The smallest being Ontario with 7,340 square miles. So the 5 Great Lakes combined would be bigger than the state of Utah. By comparison with the Great Salt Lake, it only has 2,160 square miles. And then again, another really interesting statement. 21% of the world's supply of fresh water can be found in the Great Lakes, and 84% of North America's are in the Great Lakes. So the Great Lakes are Huron, Ontario, Michigan, Erie, and Superior. And I always tell the kids, an easy way to remember that is if you remember the acronym HOMES. If you remember the acronym, you can remember you have the first letter of each lake, and then you should be able to remember it from there. So Huron, Ontario, Michigan, Erie, Superior, HOMES. And those lakes, along with the St. Lawrence River, forms a major shipping route for these two countries. A lot of commerce, a lot of population over on the eastern sides of our two countries. And then when we look at the Mississippi, Missouri, and Ohio rivers, this is the continent's longest and busiest river system. So the 3 rivers combined make up a very large area and bring trade from many states together into the Mississippi and south, where they can then go to other parts of the world. Again, as you stand next to these rivers, especially the farther south you go, looks very much like you're standing next to the ocean. They are so big. Both countries are large and contain some of the world's most fertile soil, and as a result, North America is the world's leading food exporter. So yes, we've got to feed our people, but Canada has a population around 35 million. We're somewhere around 330 million. And so once we feed them, we can and do have enough to export to other countries. We can exchange it for goods, we can exchange it for military concessions, we can trade it, or we can just flat out give it to people, give it to countries, give it to areas that need it. And our final one on this page, so forested lands. Both Canada and the United States have a lot of forested land. Canada has half of its territory covered with trees, and the United States has 1/3 of our area. And again, an interesting statement. The United States has more kinds of trees in our country than any other one does because of our climate. So we've got a tundra, polar climate up in Alaska. We've got tropical climate, Hawaii and Florida, Mediterranean, marine west coast. We've got humid continental, highland, just a variety because of the size of our country, extending both north and south and east and west. And that finishes page 1. Thank you.